Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar, Ensuring Foster Children Receive PEBT Benefits. My name is Kelsey Boone, and I am a Child Nutrition Policy Analyst at the Food Research and Action Center. Today, we will touch upon what PEBT is and what specific challenges foster families face with this program, as well as hearing from one state's strategies and challenges for foster family outreach. Today's webinar is in coordination with Fostering Champs, a campaign to ensure bright futures for kids in foster care. And I want to introduce Lynn Teedy with Fostering Champs to share more about the campaign.
Thank you so much, Kelsey. It's really great to be here with all of you. It's great to be in partnership with FRAC working on this important issue. CHAMPS is a national policy campaign. We work both in states and nationally to support family-based care for children in foster care. So supporting foster families, that includes relative and non-relative foster families, and to give them the support they need so that they can support children. We have a coalition of partners that includes researchers, advocates at both the state and national level, pediatricians, foster parents, youth, and service providers, and a lot of our partners were invited to join this webinar today. They have been working diligently to ensure foster families and the children they care for receive this important benefit. We have a policy playbook, so we're working to advocate in states, much like FRAC, and improve policy and practice. And all of our work is really grounded in research that shows that children do best when they're in the loving care of families and not in institutions. So that is really our guiding star. When the pandemic EBT benefit was passed at the national level, knowing that all children in foster care are eligible for free and reduced lunch, CHAMPS did a lot of outreach. We put a lot of information out, worked with FRAC to learn more about it. They were great partners to us to learn from foster families about what was working and what wasn't working as far as how they were accessing this benefit and to inform foster parents about it. So we've been excited to be part of that and learn from folks in the field and to have that information feed into this webinar today and help inform all of us. So hopefully in the second round of PEBT benefits, more foster children can receive this support. Next slide. This slide is just for reference. You will get this after the webinar, but for those of you in food security, we're working on the food security side. If you want to know what states CHAMPS is working in, where our national partners are, where we have access to folks, and also where our state partners are, here's a list of states where we have campaign partners, National Foster Parent Association parent partners, state legislative partners. So this is just a reference for you to look at as you're doing your advocacy work, and please don't hesitate to reach out to CHAMPS to connect where we can ever be supportive in your efforts. So that's it for me. I'm going to pass it back to Kelsey to talk more about PEBT. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Lynn. Just some background on the program. PEBT was created through the Families First Coronavirus Response Act in March of 2020. The program provides an EBT card to children who are missing meals due to school or childcare closures and virtual instruction. In the continuing resolution that was passed in the fall, Congress extended and expanded PEBT for the 2021 school year, and at the end of January, USDA released guidance on how states can implement PEBT this school year. This expansion included the ability for states to issue benefits to children under the age of 6 whose households participate in SNAP and live in or attend childcare in an age where one or more schools or childcare facilities are closed or are operating with reduced attendance or hours. To implement PEBT for school-aged children and children in childcare, states must submit a detailed plan on how they will issue benefits to children in eligible families. Many states have approved plans, and many more are in the process of creating their plans. Next slide. As of today, 33 states, Washington, D.C., and Puerto Rico have been approved to issue benefits for the 2020-2021 school year. 13 of those states have plans for children under 6 that live in SNAP households. We have created a map on our website that links to all approved states' PEBT web pages so partners can get detailed information about how PEBT works in their states and links to state-specific outreach websites and materials. Next slide. In January, the Biden administration increased the daily benefit from to $682 per full school day. This is a 16% increase compared to last school year. States are calculating the total monthly benefit amount based off of school calendars. Fully virtual students will receive the maximum state benefit, while hybrid students will receive a partial benefit. These benefit levels will vary by state given schedules and other considerations. Next slide. As far as eligibility for the program for school-age children, a child who would be eligible for free or reduced price school meals if the National School Lunch Program were operating normally and is unable to access these meals because school is closed or has been operating with reduced attendance or hours for at least 5 consecutive days in the current school year is eligible to receive the benefit. This includes children who are enrolled in community eligibility school that provides all students with free meals through the National School Lunch Program. Families that become eligible during the school year, given changing circumstances, are able to receive benefits. They must submit a free or reduced price school meals application to their school district and be approved in order to get P-EBT. If students are fully virtual, they will receive benefits for all school days that they are virtual. If they participate in a hybrid model, they will receive a lower benefit based off of the days that they were virtual. Next slide. As far as eligibility for the younger children, the scope is a little narrower. All children under the age of 6 in households that received SNAP at any time since October 1st, 2020 are eligible for PEBT benefits if they live in or attended childcare in an area where one or more schools or childcare facilities are closed or are operating with reduced attendance or hours. Next slide. We, along with partners, learned a lot of lessons about PEBT implementation from the 2019-2020 school year and have identified strategies to overcome barriers to the program. Children in foster care and foster families face many challenges. Given that PEBT is a new program created just last year, many families don't know about the program or how it works, as well as those who work with them, including child welfare agencies, private providers, and advocates. As foster children tend to move placements, it is crucial for this benefit to ensure that they are quickly enrolled in school and that districts have their latest addresses on file. Finally, states have some options when they design how their benefit issuance works, and states should implement strategies that ensure all children get the benefit. And we will discuss a few of those strategies on the next slide. When it comes to state agencies, it is important that they work with child welfare leadership as part of the PEBT planning process in order to design the program in a helpful way, as well as keep child welfare agencies, private providers, advocates, and foster parent groups informed about PEBT so they can field questions about PEBT, how it works, and how the benefit is distributed, as well as aid in any application that may come about. It is also important that information is disseminated in multiple ways to families. States should also be issuing to individual children as opposed to groups of siblings. This can ensure that foster children receive their benefit, as many children are not placed in homes alongside their siblings. Lastly, state agencies should not be sending cards to regional or county child welfare offices without thorough information on what the cards are and how to distribute them correctly. Next slide. Child welfare agencies need to use this opportunity to strengthen the process that ensures all foster children are enrolled in school and have up-to-date addresses on file with the school, particularly coming into care or moving placements, and that the child is registered for free or reduced price school meals. They should also encourage district caseworkers and foster families to update their addresses before PEBT is issued in their state. Now I'm going to turn it over to Shelley Thomas Banks, the Director of Foster Serve Volunteers, to speak about how Missouri handled foster family outreach in the last round of PEBT and what is happening now.
Hi, thank you, Kelsey and Lynn, for inviting me to speak today. I'm with the Foster and Adoptive Care Coalition. We are in St. Louis, and we worked really hard to make sure that all the families in our area knew when the PEBT program was started to reimburse free reimburse the cost of school meals that the parents didn't get because their kids were at home. In Missouri, during the last go around, the state of Missouri put the burden on the school districts to inform parents. There's this program, it's called PEBT. You have to fill out an application, and then you'll get, you know, last year it was $5.70. Now it's going to be $6.82 per day for the number of days that your children miss school. The problem that we encountered was that very few school districts actually pushed out the information. One of the biggest school districts in our area is the St. Louis City School District, which is a special provision school, which means that every child in that school gets free or reduced lunch. So all of those parents were all eligible. And we asked them, like, can you send out an e-blast to let parents know that they need to fill out this application? And they said, we put it on our website. It's on the school district website. Even though, you know, as a parent, you're looking at Tyler and Infinite Campus and Schoology and Microsoft Teams, you know, you're looking at your kids' stuff. So you're on the computer, but you wouldn't normally go to the district website. So, I mean, it was just, we really had no luck in getting the school districts to push out the information. And so we started to inform parents ourselves. And we got a bit of feedback that people thought that we were lying and trying to scam them and that it couldn't be true because nobody had heard about it. Next slide. So what we ended up doing is that we identified 600 to 900 foster parents and adoptive guardianship parents that we knew were attending the special provision schools, and we called them personally and told them to apply for PEBT. We also paid about $1,000 to have a postcard sent out to all foster families as well as the adoptive guardianship families who were living in special provision school districts. And we, like, the title was $250 plus for food for children, you know, something that would really catch their attention. And we said, if you need help, give us a call. The same for the staff who were making the phone calls. They said, if you can't figure out how to do the application, call us back and we'll do it with you. And it was myself and one or two others that spent every day, all day, going on Zoom with parents and helping them fill out the application. That was definitely a barrier, is that we have families that don't have reliable internet. And we also have parents who just don't have computer skills. They just don't feel comfortable using the computer, or the application confused them. The wording was confusing. And so we filled out dozens, maybe hundreds of applications for families to make sure they got the money. Next slide. Also, we helped with troubleshooting issues. If a parent didn't receive all the money they were supposed to, they could call a general call center phone number, but a lot of times the call center personnel weren't really able to dig deep and figure out what was going on and why they didn't get all their money. I lucked out, you know, just from going back and forth and asking so many questions. Eventually somebody got CC'd on an email and I grabbed onto him, and he was great at the Department of Social Services. So if a parent said, I only got $500 and I was supposed to get $750, I would I'd email this guy and tell him what the problem was, and he within a day would email back and fix it pretty much every single time. So I highly recommend that you figure out a way to get an insider scoop, an insider person to help with those issues. Next slide. Okay, so here are some issues that we encountered and may continue to encounter during the next go around. And the first one's probably the biggest one. The child's name and birth date was a mismatch in 30% of the cases, and that was something that my insider told me, is that parents, when they were filling out the application, sometimes gave their child's wrong date of birth, or the school has entered the child with not the legal name that matched Department of Social Services records, and they had to match for them to be able to get all foster and adoptive children, at least in Missouri, qualify for free and reduced lunch. So even if they're not in a special provision school, they should still qualify, but Department of Social Services had to match them up with the school record, and 30% of the time they didn't match. And so he asked that a way for us to try to make that go a little smoother this time round is to have our foster parents call the schools and make sure that the child's correct legal name and the correct date of birth was given so that everything's going to match. Another issue that he brought up, which is really just sort of more of an empathy issue than anything else, was that in spring of 2020, during the first go around, you know, everything kind of shut down, right, for those first couple months, and so they had capacity. So he told me about 350 employees from Department of Social Services and Department of Elementary and Secondary Education were pulled off their normal jobs to work on the distribution of those PEBT payments and approving the applications, dealing with the mismatches. And he said, I don't have staffing capacity anymore. I mean, all of them are back to doing their food stamp interviews and the other things that we had ceased for a while. So that's going to be a challenge. Next slide. And another thing that he brought up that he asked that we push out to families if Missouri approves our the plan to do a distribution for this school year we're in right now. Apparently, when families received all of their money at once, some of them went out and spent all of it at once, and that was a concern to the grocer industry. And there was some pushback that they felt that it exacerbated the meat shortage that happened in spring 2020 because they felt like parents got that dump and they didn't understand how long it was going to be on their card for, and they wanted to make sure they used it before they lost the card. And so he asked that we do a little bit of educating of the parents that the money's going to stay on the card for a year. Think about perishable foods expiration date before you over purchase. And I think that is my last slide. It is. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you so much. So I just wanted to highlight a few resources that FRAC has developed to help with this round of implementation, including our piece on strategies states can use to can implement to ensure they reach all eligible students, including foster children, homeless youth, and immigrant and migrant students. So that's the first link there. We also have a few communications resources, including a toolkit, and we have also updated our shared communications resources drive with materials approved states have been putting out this school year. I really want to draw your attention to the customizable outreach materials, which are able to be branded with your organization's logo and filled in with state-specific details to spread the word about PEBT. Some upcoming resources we'll have are, we're working on developing fact sheets for each state on what is in their state plans. So check out our website. Hopefully by beginning of May, we should have something up on state plans. Next slide. So we have a few minutes left for questions if you want to enter them in the Q&A box now. And if we don't get to your question, or if you have a state-specific question, we can follow up with you individually after the webinar. While we're waiting for some questions to come in, I quickly want to highlight that next Thursday, April 29th, FRAC has another PEBT deep dive webinar entitled How School Districts Can Help Ensure PEBT is a Success, that can be registered for now on our website. So I'm not seeing any, oh, here's a question. So is there any states that are approved to provide PEBT for children under age 6? Yes, we have 13 states currently that have plans for children under 6. The latest was actually just approved this week, and it was New Jersey. So that was the last state, but there are 12 others that also have it.
I have a quick question, Kelsey, if that's okay. My understanding is that Shelley was talking about Missouri and how it's going to do an application process again, but most states are doing direct issuance this time around. Is that correct?
Yes, most states are doing direct issuance. So far, we only have one application state, and that is Texas. So if you do reside in Texas, you do need to fill out an application, and that will not, I believe that opens in May. I think it's a May to June application. So does that answer your question? Is that what you were
Yeah, and I think I just was going to point out that one of the issues, there were some states the first time around that did direct issuance, but then all children in foster care didn't necessarily get that. So to be sure to look, like I think it was Oklahoma last time, they had a period of direct issuance, and if anyone didn't get it by a certain date, then you had to maybe apply or call a number to get it. So you might just want to look at those details in your state to figure those out.
So we have another question. Did the homeless liaisons from schools help out? I don't know if that's a specific question about in Missouri or just in general. I know that on our strategies document, we did work with an organization that serves homeless youth, and so that's included in our strategies document. And also last week, we had another PEBT deep dive webinar specifically on reaching homeless children. So if you go on FRAC's YouTube page, that is posted. Actually, it's on. I can send out the link with this because it's not on our it wasn't on our platform, but I can send out that link. I don't know if Missouri had any specific, Shelley, if you have any specific idea about homeless liaisons in Missouri.
I don't, because foster kids are generally not homeless. So
Yes,
I don't know much. But I mean, as a general rule, I would say nobody did a good job of pushing it out, at least in the St. Louis area.
Yes. So just some general questions that I've gotten before about so PEBT, how long will PEBT be available? So the American Rescue Plan that was passed in March actually extended PEBT through the summer. And so we are waiting on guidance from USDA to help us get states to submit plans for the summer. And also extended PEBT through the end of the emergency, the health emergency, public health emergency. So as long as the public health emergency is going on, PEBT benefits will be available.
There was a question in the chat about how to get a copy of the state plans or approval info.
Yes, on our website, you can go to state-specific information. So I'm going to put in the chat what our general website is. And there is a link to state-specific information, and you can click on each state and it'll take you to your state website on PEBT. Also, if you go to FNS's website, they have all of the plans linked on their website. So I'll put that in the chat as well. So.
And in the new plans this time around, there is a section where the state has to specifically speak to how they're reaching these populations, these harder to reach populations. So look for that section in your state plans. Some state plans are a little more detailed than others as far as how they're reaching homeless or foster children, immigrant children, but be sure to check out that section of your state plan.
And if you are in a state that is approved currently, and you see the plan and you see that people around you have been getting benefits and you don't know where your benefits are, you can actually go to that website that I posted, frac.org/PEBT. And in our FAQ, we link to a document we're pulling all states' PEBT hotline numbers, so it's all in one spot. So you can find your state's hotline number to call in and ask about benefits there. So I'm not seeing any more questions. And so if there are no more questions, we will be sending this slide deck as well as the recording to this webinar in a follow-up email, so everyone will receive that. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much to our panelists for joining us today. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your week. Thank you so much.
Bye, thank you.